and I had something I needed to go to the doctor, but honestly, I put it off because I still had to meet the deductible. And in a bit of a crying fit, I screamed out, I hate this damn country. How can I live in a place that lets people go broke because they get sick? How is healthcare not a basic human right?
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Hour number 2 coming up in just a few minutes. Maria Conchita Alonso will join us to talk about what's going on in Venezuela. It might sound all too familiar or like a scary scene from a movie from our future. You never know. Just give a listen, and we'll talk about it with her. But right now, we are joined by Mackenzie Weinger. She is a media reporter for Politico. Hello, Mackenzie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate it. You wrote a piece, 5 ways to rescue liberal talk radio, but it won't be easy. Let me point out what we just played a moment ago. Was I think that was Nicole Sandler, formerly of Air America Radio. I think she was filling in for Randy Rhoads at the time. She's now with RadioOrNot.com. And it's that kind of language, it's that kind of vitriol, it's that kind of hatred for America, for American values, for the right, calling people. I mean, I got example after example of what Hartman and Malloy and Rhodes and others have called Newt Gingrich, vile, vicious, disgusting names. Ed Schultz talking about Dick Cheney, dying in his heart. Just horrific things. And I think that's the problem with, or was the problem with liberal talk radio. I don't even know if it exists much anymore. They're just out of touch with America. And that's why really it not only has it died, but it never really took off.
Well, what you're saying is what a lot of industry insiders, those who are not in the partisan talk business, but just in the talk business, have been saying. And that kind of plays into the number one thing in my piece. Don't be a shill for the Democratic Party. A lot of them over and over and over said, as I'm sure you know, entertainment is the number one thing in talk radio. And a lot of progressive hosts have kind of fallen on the other side and have been very preachy and focused on kind of the Democratic Party line rather than putting, being a talk radio personality first. And so that's been obviously a problem with the left talk for several years, and that's one of the reasons why it is in such dire straits.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, that's also been a criticism, rightly or wrongly, of talk radio on the right. They accuse a lot of us of getting Republican talking points, toting the party line, being a shill, a mouthpiece, blah, blah, blah. They accuse Fox News of that and other radio hosts who I won't mention. But those radio hosts and Fox News are usually successful.
Right, and that's been one of the things that has kind of bothered, left hosts, and they're wondering why they can't kind of grab onto the market. They have a couple ideas why, but really there's just not that same kind of playing field for them. And that's why a lot of them, like Nicole Sandler, who you played, are trying to go online and using different kinds of ways to reach the radio audience. They're trying to kind of say, well, we tried to play with the conservative right-wing hosts, and we have not won, so let's see what other kind of venues we can use.
Right. No, yeah, I know. And one of those, one of the points of your or suggestions in your piece is, speaking of online, which, I'm not knocking online, certainly. I think that's the future in so many respects, and that's what we're doing here at Newsmax with TV and radio. Finding a new voice. I mean, you talked and you named a bunch of the people who are there now, have been there in the past. I remember when they thought Governor Mario Cuomo, who was not governor anymore, he had finished, he had retired from that position, and WABC Radio at the time I was there, they hired him, and they thought he would be this great new, the Rush Limbaugh of the left, and he was as a talk show host, a miserable failure. So, I mean, do you have any suggestions, or you just think that they got to go find somebody who maybe no one's ever heard of, and that person could reshape and remold liberal talk radio?
I mean, that's the hope for a lot of the people in the business, but, everyone I talked to kept repeating, we need to find that rising star, and I would ask, give me a name. I'd love to talk to them. I cover radio for my job. Give me a new name to look out for. And, no one really could give me any names in the AM/FM radio. There were a couple online people that they think progressives can look for. But, AM/FM, they say they're not trying to cultivate new progressive voices. And there's only a couple areas with local shows, in Madison, Wisconsin, but then a lot of other progressive strongholds that you would think of, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, they've actually killed their progressive radio stations. So in places you would associate with liberal left-leaning politics, they don't even have progressive radio on the air anymore.
It hasn't worked there either. We're talking right now to Mackenzie Weinger, media reporter for Politico here on the Steve Malzberg Show. What would this new person, do you think, from the people you've talked to? In other words, would they be hopefully they wouldn't be a shill for the Democratic Party and they'd be entertaining. And I got to admit, I look for people I disagree with on the radio. That's just me. Not everybody's comfortable with that. Some people like to keep their blood pressure under 200. Me, that's one of my faults. But would the person be, abortion on demand, which is totally out of touch with America? Would the person be, it's hard to be liberal or progressive, whatever you want to call it, and not have the hardcore liberal or progressive feelings and thoughts and talking points built in you. And I think that's always been a losing formula.
Well, I think with the progressive side, from the people I spoke with, they're kind of looking to the new upcoming elections. They're going to be more contentious. There's going to be more open seats, and they're hoping that's going to kind of be a way to get back into the field and kind of compete. But no, I agree. It's going to be very difficult for them, and there really is no farm team of new voices, and there's no one really interested in putting a lot of money behind progressive radio at this moment. So, I mean, even the ones with the popular shows, Bill Press, Tom Hartman, those kind of guys and people that are very invested in progressive radio have all told me the same thing. Things are really bad right now. You'd think that they would try to spin it. It's their business, but they're very honest about the fact that things are not looking good for progressive radio's future. And so they were trying to kind of brainstorm new ideas. But like the title of the piece said, it's really not going to be easy. Right.
And you say 2016, it's 2016 or bust. Is this a last chance? Is there a boat that's pulling out that if they miss, it's kind of faded into the background forever?
That's really the feeling around a lot of insiders in radio that I was getting, especially in kind of the AM/FM syndicated talk radio world. If they can't grab on now, it's going to be really tough. A lot of people think it'll still survive online and in those kind of formats, podcasting, which it is going in that direction, but monetizing it is super difficult.
Yeah, no, it's going to be, it's hard to come up with it. You need stations and network or whatever, and even 2 years out, that's very hard to do. But interesting piece because talk radio has not only been my business for the last 30 plus years, but I grew up listening to it, sports talk radio and political talk radio here in New York to the greats like Bob Grant, Barry Farber, Barry Gray. So it's just it's always been strange that it never took off on the left. But anyway, time will tell. Good piece. Thanks for coming on. I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. That's Mackenzie Weinger, ladies and gentlemen, media reporter for Politico. When we come back, Maria Conchita Alonso. And I say that with affection. If I don't say it with a good accent, I say it with affection. And we love hearing from Maria. Don't invite her and Sean Penn to the same party, mind you, and you could Google that one. But she will be here to discuss Venezuela, where she grew up, and she despises the regime there and despises Castro and has possibly some advice for Barack Obama about Cuba. All that straight ahead when we return right here. You know where you are. You know it, you love it. The Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.